ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Monday Night Football Overtime. Packers, Raiders. Good football game. I enjoyed it. It was exactly what I thought it would be. You know, pretty much low scoring. Which quarterback would make the least amount of mistakes? I expected both to make mistakes. Both did. But it was ultimately going to come down to who could make the least amount of mistakes. That was Jimmy Garoppolo, and so the Raiders get the victory, 17-13. I thought Josh McDaniels made a mistake late, not going for it on 4th and 1, because it'd be one thing if you were up 3 or up 2, and a field goal forces a Packers team that has struggled all night to score to need a touchdown. Okay, I get it. You're already up 4. They still need a touchdown regardless. A touchdown doesn't put them out of reach. All it does is forces them to have to score a touchdown, and if they want to win, go for 2, right? They want to go to overtime, kick the extra point. But a field goal in that instance, when you're between a yard and a victory, to me, it's a no-brainer. You go for it on 4th down right there, when they're going to need a touchdown regardless. Now, again, you're up 1, you're up 2, you're up 3. I get it. Because now you force them to need a touchdown, and they've struggled to score touchdowns all night, and you make them drive the length of the field. It all makes sense. You're up 4 already. I don't understand the logic behind just adding 3 more points to the board. It's to me the equivalent of you score a touchdown, you're up 5, an extra point doesn't do you any good, really. Or I take that back. You're up 4, an extra point doesn't really do you much good. 5 is the number. You're up 2, you're up 5, an extra point doesn't really do you much good, right? Because if you kick it, you're up 6, extra point beats you with a touchdown, so you go for 2, right? Because it really doesn't matter 5 versus 6 unless the other kicker misses the extra point, but you're not thinking that way. You're thinking he's going to make the kick, so you need to go for 2, right? Same situation to me, right? Similar in that 4 versus 5 versus 6, and it doesn't really, 6 is different because if you make a field goal, you go up 9, games over, right? Now it's a 2-score game. But 4 or 5 in that situation doesn't really make too much of a difference to me. Up 7, up 8, it's still all 1 score. Yeah, you got to go for 2 versus an extra point, but still, they needed a touchdown anyway. But all in all, what a game, man. What a game from Max Crosby. I think Jacoby Myers is a really good fit there. It's going to suck when they trade away Davante Adams, because then Jacoby Myers is going to be forced to do something that he's really not supposed to be asked to do, which is be a number 1. Hopefully next year, they'll grab themselves a number 1 wide receiver after Adams leaves with that 1st-round pick that they're going to get. And hopefully get them a quarterback too while they're there. I mean, Jimmy G's a nice little Band-Aid. He's a nice stopgap, but who are we kidding? You're probably going to need to overhaul the whole thing, to be honest with you. Head coach, quarterback, the offense for that matter. Because they've pretty much New England patriotized that whole entire operation, right? The fullback came from New England, the receiver came from New England, the quarterback came from New England, the head coach, the GM, they all came from New England. They've New Englandized that entire offense for the most part. So I would, take a hard, long look at all of that when this thing blows up. They got a really good schedule. It's very favorable. They just suck, man. Watching this game, I needed this one. This was a big one for me. This was a shitty week. Okay, a lot of losses piling up all over the place. Started off rough with Washington. It didn't get any better with Jacksonville upsetting Buffalo, and then, Tennessee not being able to take care of business against Indy, and it was just a shitty week. The Ravens they created ways to lose to Pittsburgh, and you're just sitting there, you're watching the losses pile up, and you're saying, what in the hell? Arizona, Josh Dobbs throws an idiotic interception. I mean, he literally hadn't thrown a pick all season long, And then he just lost his mind in that game. And I'm like, watching that opportunity go by the wayside, and I'm thinking, well, that's the kind of week it's been. I'm going to need Sunday and Monday to save face here, right? And watching this thing was excruciating because I just kept waiting for Jimmy Garoppolo to do something stupid. Man, when he gets in the pocket, those feet are moving 1,000 miles a second. That guy is scared as shit back there. You know, doesn't want to get hit, thinks somebody's always coming. That's what happens when you can't move. When you can't run, you're not athletic, you get scared back there, man. He's got some happy feet back there. And so I'm always nervous when he has to rock because he doesn't see guys. He doesn't feel the pressure backside a lot of times. So you can come from all the way around running the arc, running that loop, and come from the backside of a play and hit him and knock the ball loose. He throws a stupid ass pick to start the second half. And I'm just thinking the Raiders right now are in a position, if they don't help Green Bay, they're probably going to win this game because Jordan Love just isn't ready, right? And I'm not going to sit here and declare Jordan Love trash, this, that, or the third. Man's making his, sixth career NFL start tonight, right? Like, a lot of football left in Jordan Love. They got a young-ass team. You know, everybody's young. It ain't just the quarterback. Young receivers, young tight end. Offensive line is relatively young. It's a young group out there. It's the blind leading the blind. They're in the veteran soul out there without Aaron Jones. Everybody's young. Everybody's on a rookie contract. It's tough. So I'm not going to kill the young fella. There are going to be mistakes made. He's going to have to learn and grow from them. He's making a lot of mistakes. Some of them you scratch your head and go, hey, bro, that first pick that he threw to Spillane, what did you see there? What were you looking at, man? He's literally standing right there in your line of vision. You know, sometimes with a quarterback, because a lot of people don't, if you've never worn a football helmet, then you don't really realize your peripheral is severely compromised. You can't really see outside of the visor, right? The vision that you have, depending on what kind of face mask you have, you really can't see shit outside of that, you know? And if you're just looking one way, you're not going to see a guy that's slowly moving into your vision, but you've already thought you're not going to see that guy. And all of a sudden you let it go and he's right there, right? And you don't ask yourself, Spillane wasn't moving. He was just standing right there and he threw it to him. So it's just one of those ones you go, hey, dude, what are we doing here? You know, what'd you see? Right. So Max Crosby is one of my favorite players in the NFL. There will be a larger discussion tomorrow on the Commanders Nightly News if you're a Washington fan, because I watched a lot of football over the week, as I always do, but it's not the same when Washington plays at 1, because I don't get to watch the 4 o'clock games and just sit there and consume. And when Washington's playing, while I'm watching 4 or 5 other games, I'm not really focused in on those games like I am Washington's game, right? Like I've got, you know, 1 eye and a half on Washington and a half an eye on like 4 different games. I mean, how much can you really be taking in when you're watching it and consuming it in that manner? But when we're not playing at all, I was in the 5 1 o'clock games and all 4 o'clock games, and I was dialed in, right? So we're going to have a discussion about what I saw and something in particular. And we've done this before. I'm going to do it again because I think it's even more pertinent now. But my God, Max Crosby is a one-man destructive wrecking crew. He's one of my favorite players in the league, as I mentioned already. And you see why. Games like tonight is, you know, he only had 1 sack. But just watching this guy fly around on the field, are you kidding me? And then, you know, I was a massive, go back and look at my draft, you know, videos. I think it was probably about 5 years ago now. Man, I love, maybe probably more like 4 years. I loved Amik Robertson coming out of La Tech. Loved him coming out of La Tech. I'm so glad he's finally getting an opportunity and he's seizing that opportunity. I thought he played really well tonight, man. Physical in the run game. I thought he defended the pass really well. Ran down the field with Watson one-on-one in that situation where Love threw the deep ball, was there. Then obviously late in the game, seals it with the pick. And in most instances, when you get run by like he did on that play, and you're in trail technique and you're in survival mode, most guys don't turn and locate the ball. He didn't panic. He didn't go face guard and jump in the air, and get the PI ball at the 1 yard line. He saw that Watson was waiting on the rock. He turned, he located, and he went up and he got it. He's 5'9", He's a tiny guy. But he went up and he got that thing and secured the win for the Raiders. Big win, obviously, for the Raiders, because all it takes is one. And you look at their schedule with a lot of bad teams on it, including a New England Patriots team that's been outscored like 75-3 their last 2 games. I know Belichick knows Josh McDaniels like the back of his hand. He knows Jimmy Garoppolo, same thing. But those guys are struggling over there, man. This Raiders defense, the offense might not be worth a damn, but this defense is actually not terrible, okay? It's not great. Trust me. You can score on it, but it's not terrible. And when they see an offense like New England struggling, I think they're going to do something similar to what they did to Green Bay tonight. Kind of shut it down a bit and give their offense every opportunity to win the football game. And I think they won't be favored in every game, I don't think, other than that Lions game. But, I mean, Patriots, Bears, I think the Jets were on that thing. I think there was another horrible team who might be 1 win, no win. And then the Lions were just mashed in between, right? They could win 4 out of their next 5. I doubt it, but it's not impossible, right? Jacoby Myers was really good tonight. Good to see Josh Jacobs getting kind of back on track, even though there was really one big run in there. It was a lot of 2 yards, no yards, loss of 1, 4, 1, 2, loss of 2, 6, 1, 1, 2, and then he got the 40-yarder, right? And that kind of changed the average. It changed. And then I thought after that, he kind of really got going, got into a little rhythm, had the touchdown rushing. And I thought he started. And that's part of the reason I would have gone for it on 4th and 1. And there's so many things you can do. They got this fast-ass kid out of Cincinnati, Trey, whatever his name is, that they gave the little jet sweep to or end around after he had the false start penalty. And you got DeAndre Carter. You got so many ways that you can play this. Send the guy in motion. You got to keep Green Bay kind of thinking about it. They already ran the jet sweep on either a 3rd or a 4th down earlier in the game, and they got it. So there's so many things you can do with that. I would have gone for it, but that defense did what it had done all night, which was shut down Green Bay's offense, confuse Jordan Love, force him into some tough throws. And some of the players let him down late in the game. Romeo Doubs dropped, Musgrave. It was tough because he's running across the field from left to right. The ball's behind him towards his back shoulder on the left as he's sliding down, but still a ball that you expect him to catch. So he didn't have the best help, but he didn't help himself either. The 3 picks can't do it. One of those picks, you were already in field goal range. Now, late in the game, you don't need a touchdown. You just need a field goal, right? But as he continues to play and learn and see different things, he'll get better. I still believe Jordan Love has a future in this league as a quarterback, a starting one. He's got the tools. I think he's just got to settle in, and with a young group, you wish there was just a Davante Adams he could just rely on. This is my guy. Every quarterback, I feel like every young quarterback needs one of those. A guy that I know, no matter what, my guy is going to win. It makes a young quarterback's job so much easier. But one more thing on Jimmy. Man, Jimmy is ass. Man, he's cheeks. Jimmy rolls out to his right, and he's buying time. And this is not Jimmy's forte, not his specialty at all. But gets out of the pocket, and there's and now he's on a 2-on-1 fast break. He's put a Packer defender in a very unenviable position. Either you're going to come up and defend this quarterback who's thinking about running, or you're going to leave, or you're going to cover this receiver and allow the quarterback to run. If it's Lamar Jackson, if it's Daniel Jones, if it's one of these really extremely mobile and gifted runners, Justin Fields, you got a decision to make, and the decision is easy. You take the quarterback and say, hey, if you make a good throw, I dare you, right? If it's Jimmy Garoppolo, you stay with the tight end and you let Jimmy, waddle for 3 yards before he gets scared when a guy's coming 5 yards away and he slots. The defender chooses Jimmy, and Jimmy's got an easy throw to Michael Mayer in the flats. And if he catches it, they were over-exaggerating on the – first of all, I'm a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. Michael Mayer ain't outrunning nobody, okay? So let's he might have scored talk. Okay, this isn't Darren Waller. It's not one of these prolific, extremely athletic tight ends. But this was a gain of 20. He catches this thing. Maybe he's bumped out and isn't able to stay in bounds, and it's a gain of 15. Jimmy throws a duck. Like, it's an easy throw. It's a wobbly duck that looks like it's been shot out of the air, and that thing dies as it's getting to Michael Mayer. And I'm just like, you bum. And this is the guy that I'm relying on for a dub tonight. Once he threw the pick, I was like, he's about to cost me this game. And luckily enough, the defense wasn't having none of it. And big tackle, yep, take the 15-yard horse collar because it's inside the 10-yard line, so it's half the distance to the goal. Big tackle by Marcus Peters on the bomb. After they had already surrendered all the momentum, Jimmy throws the pick to Rudy Ford. The Packers take full advantage. They score the touchdown. They tie the game up at 10. The Raiders go 3 and out quickly, give it right back to Green Bay, and they go top shelf. Jordan Love throws it to a wide open Watson, and he's off to the race. I'm like, ain't no way Marcus Peters slow ass catching him. And Peters just gets a piece of the nameplate, right up in that horse collar area, and slings them down by it. Of course, they throw the flag. Who gives a shit? You just saved a touchdown. They ultimately had to settle for a field goal. That is a game-winning tackle. Okay? That is a game-saving tackle. They get a touchdown there, and they go up 7. The Raiders are going to lose this game. Raiders, all life is then lost. There were more Packers fans, it felt like, there than Raiders fans. And look, much like we talk about with the Chargers, who don't have a true home field advantage. I know Chargers fans get tired of hearing that over and over again. But specifically Vegas, it doesn't matter who they play. Because it's Vegas and we know what kind of a destination Vegas is, fans are going to turn that into a weekend. So if your team is playing a road game at Vegas, you look up at the calendar and you say, hey, man, we got a Vegas game December 11th. You trying to go? Yeah. All right, well, let's see what else we can get into while we're there. We'll go ahead and, book the ticket, set up a hotel. Let's make it a weekend, and then we'll catch the game. The game is usually like not even the main event. It's just the entire weekend, and the game is kind of in the backdrop. So you're always going to have opposing teams' fans infiltrating Allegiant Stadium because it's Vegas, right? Who doesn't want to go to Vegas? But, Packers fans travel too. So you put those two together, it felt like a road game. It really, truly did. It's not often that you're listening to a game on television and if you just closed your eye, you wouldn't have known who was home. Because when it was a third down and the Packers had the ball, Raiders fans were loud. And when it was a third down and the Raiders had the ball, Packers fans were extremely loud. So if you just closed your eyes and you didn't know where this game was being played, you would have had no idea where they were. You would have thought this was a London game. But good for the Raiders, even though I can't stand their head coach. And in any other situation, if I hadn't picked them, I would have been rooting like hell for them to lose. But I needed those dirty bastards tonight. And McDaniels tried to screw me. And what happened to Carlson tonight? He's such an accurate, good kicker. I was shocked. You know how I always like to say, that time when the sub comes in, your regular teacher goes out and you're usually an angel. And for whatever reason, you decide to cut up. And the substitute tells her, hey, man, I had some really big issues with Kevin. Kevin who? Kevin Jackson. Kevin Jackson? Kid with the little cut right here on the side of his face? Yeah, that Kevin. He was acting up. Yeah. Shocked, right? 2 missed kicks? Must be Andres Carlson, right? The guy from Green Bay. Can't be his older brother. Nah, not him. You got the wrong guy. Not Daniel. Carlson? Raiders? It almost felt like when earlier in the season, I think I told y'all this already, Ravens and Bengals and Justin Tucker missed. I was like, who? Justin Tucker? What? How far was it? And then they told me it was like 56 or 57. I was like, okay. Even though that's still crazy for me, because it really don't, the distance, unless you talk in 60s, that first number starts with a 6. That's when I'm like, oh, okay. It was 56. It's still long as shit. Right. But it's a shock to the senses. I wasn't expecting Daniel Carlson to miss, but if you're a Packers fan, I think Troy Aikman said it best. Nobody, or it might have been Joe Buck, nobody really wants to admit this in Green Bay, especially with your division seemingly open before the season started. The Lions have pretty much said, hey, this is our shit. They went to your house, stomped a mud hole in you. You know you can't beat them. And you look around and you say, yeah, this is probably Detroit's division to lose. This is a rebuilding year. Nobody wants to ever admit that they're rebuilding. That's a nasty, dirty word in NFL circles. In the NBA, they embrace it, right? Major League Baseball, they embrace it. Not in the NFL, because those sports require you to be good and to have elite players. And generally speaking, it's not a game of chance or, any given game, right? Those require series wins to advance in the postseason. It requires consistent level of good play throughout the regular season to get to the postseason. Football, ball bounces your way 3 or 4 times throughout the year. You stay relatively healthy, play a soft schedule. There's a number of things that can be advantageous for you, and you make the playoffs. You get lucky in the playoffs. It's your day. It's not the other team's day, and you could win a game or two, right? So nobody ever really wants to embrace rebuilding. It's a dirty, nasty word. It's almost taboo-ish in the NFL. But the Packers are rebuilding. I mean, what are we talking about here? Especially on the offensive side. Once you traded Aaron Rodgers, you were rebuilding. With all these, the only thing holding up that offense with all these young-ass players was 12. And unless Jordan Love came in and was the reincarnation of Aaron Rodgers, this was going to be a rebuilding season. So as you sit here at 2-3, sky's not falling, still 12 games left to play. Anything can happen. The NFC is wide open in terms of wild cards. So nothing is lost, right? But the likelihood is you're probably not going to be there when it's all said and done. Easily could have beaten Atlanta. Definitely should have lost to New Orleans. You're probably right where you should be record-wise. And don't know the next 5 games. I think they said that you were heading on to a bye, if I'm not mistaken. So you're on a bye. You come off. You got the Broncos, winnable game. Vikings, winnable game. Rams, winnable game. Steelers, winnable. I mean, this shit is not hard. Your division plays a relatively soft schedule. It's a lot of winnable games up here. Are you going to win them? That's the question. Because just like you looking at some of those teams like food, the Broncos are looking at you like food. The Rams are looking at you like food. The Vikings are saying, hey, this is an opportunity for a get-right game. They probably won't have Justin Jefferson for that game. You got to take advantage of it. I said all of that to say this. If you're even in the hunt late in the season, that's a win for the Packers this year. The biggest thing that you're trying to figure out at season's end is, what do we got in Jordan Love? You may not have a concrete answer, which that's the thing that would suck, is after 1 year, you want to feel like, hey, we got our guy. But that answer may not be etched in stone. You really haven't had to deal with this for the better part of 30 years. So you really don't know how to operate in this space. So for your mental sanity, you probably need Jordan Love to work out so you don't have to go down that road, because you've been shielded from having to worry about a quarterback for the better part of the last 3 decades. You seamlessly transitioned from Favre to Rodgers, and you're hoping to keep that train going with Jordan Love. But as we saw with the Indianapolis Colts, all good things must come to an end, unfortunately. And I don't know. We'll see with Jordan Love. If it doesn't work out, I'll gladly welcome you to a club that I'm trying to get the hell out of feverishly right now as we speak. And you can take my place. You can have my spot. Hopefully you don't stay as long as I did, but I'm looking to get the hell out. I think I got the map finally, and I think I'm about to get the hell up out of there. That quarterback wilderness is no joke. He wasn't good tonight. He wasn't good last week against Detroit. And so you got to continue to take your lumps. It's going to be tough because, again, there are no veterans there. This is the blind leading the blind. They got to grow together. It's tough when you got a young quarterback because you want veteran leadership around that young quarterback. You want, guys that at least at, the skill positions that can rally around them and say, hey, we got to step up for the young fella. They're all young. Josh, Romeo Doubs is trying to figure shit out on his own, trying to figure out if I can play in this league. They're throwing the guys we've never heard of. There was this one guy that caught an out route. I heard his name last week. I was like, who the hell is that? When you got dudes like that on your squad and you're looking for contributions from those guys, like, who is Dontavion Wicks? Like, these are the guys. Dontavion Wicks, Jaden Reed, Patrick Taylor is a running back that you had to elevate tonight because no Aaron Jones, Romeo Doubs, Ben Sims at the tight end position. Like, these are the guys he's throwing the ball to. So Dontavion Wicks, my guess is he's a rookie. That's my guess. I could be wrong. He could be a second-year guy that was on the practice squad last year. My guess is he's a rookie. Jaden Reed is definitely a rookie out of Michigan State. Romeo Doubs is a second-year receiver. Ben Sims sounds like a rookie. Again, he could be a second-year practice squad guy. Josiah DeGuara has been in the league probably about 3-4 years now, I feel like. Tight end out of Cincinnati, but still relatively young. Luke Musgrave is a rookie, and Christian Watson's a second-year player. There are no veterans anywhere to speak of, right? Other than in the backfield with Aaron Jones, and he didn't play tonight. So it's tough. It's going to be tough. Defensively, this was a better showing, and I knew they would be a lot better with their cornerback back in the saddle. He didn't play against Detroit last Thursday, so that was a big loss. But getting Jair Alexander back was huge. I still feel like there's some, and they lost their linebacker Quay Walker tonight. Don't know the extent of that injury. He never returned to the game. You're already without my man from Atlanta and Devondre Campbell. You were already without him, and you're still working back the Michigan edge rusher, right? So he looks good still. He seems to be rounding into shape. And at some point, I think you're just going to cut him loose, and he's just going to be on the field all the time. But I don't know if he's at that point yet. Defense wasn't bad tonight, but they were horrible last week. And they've had moments this season where they've actually been really solid. They've had moments this year where they've been taken advantage of. I still don't really know who they are because they really haven't been healthy defensively. I still don't really know who they are. Without the Georgia corner, again, this week. I mean, I really like the big West Virginia corner over there on the opposite side, but that Packers defense is interesting. I also saw, I don't know if he returned to the game or not, Darnell Savage, have a chance at a pick, limp off the field. So I don't know what happened there. So there's a lot of intriguing pieces. It'll be interesting to see if this defense can keep them in ball games while this young offense tries to figure it out. Because, again, you look around at the NFC wild card and you say, why can't we be? I mean, you may not make it, but why can't we be in the mix? Why can't we be playing meaningful football come December? Look at your schedule and say, why not us? Love's going to have to make better decisions. I think they need to utilize him as a runner a little bit more. Just a threat. I'm not saying you got to have him out there running a football 7-8 times a game, but just the threat of him keeping it once in a while, showing that he is a part of the run game. He is someone you have to account for. I think sometimes when shit starts to break down, I think he needs to utilize his athleticism a little bit more. It's almost like he's afraid to run. No, take off, young fella. That breaks the back of a defense. When they got great coverage, rushes, just not able to get there, you escape the pocket and you run for 6-7 yards. That shit hurts. I'd rather him take off than make a poor decision. He made quite a few of them tonight. So these are the growing pains that you have with a young quarterback. And another poor game. How many interceptions has he thrown this year? Had a rough go of it last week. Had a rough go of it tonight. My guess is he's at 7 picks for the season. I thought he started off pretty good in the pick department, but he's made up for some lost time, I thought, the last few weeks. Okay, so he hasn't thrown a bunch. He's only thrown 6 interceptions this season. Let me see. Yeah, he's only thrown 6, so that's not bad. 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. 2 last week, 3 this week, 1 the week before against New Orleans. Because I remember the first 2 weeks he hadn't thrown any, but he's making up for lost time. So 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That completion percentage is what worries me. But some of that are drops, young receivers, just not being on the same page with a bunch of young guys. That's the only thing that I don't like. Some of the decision making, it could be better, but it's not terrible. You know what I mean? So anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. Remember, if you are out there and you have a comment that you would like to have read, super chats are the way to get that done. If you use the hashtag LouieTLive and we have enough time permitting, we'll get to your comments and let's see what you guys have to say. Jado, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jado writes, what up, Lou? What's up, Jay? How do you feel about the Falcons game? I don't feel good at all about it. I expect us to lose that game. I don't think the Falcons are better than us. The players, when they get there on Wednesday and they talk to Sam and he has his presser, I already know what I'm getting from Sam. So he's not going to sway me because Sam's going to project confidence. Sam's like, yo, I'm good over here. I expect us to come out, play well. I want to hear from the players in the locker room and see how they feel, hear what, it ain't really shit that I really care to hear from the coaching staff right now. That's just how I'm feeling about specifically Jack and Ron. But I want to hear what they say about practice, Ron and EB in particular, because Jack ain't really going to say shit. He might say, hey, we had a pretty good day of practice today. It's been a really good week because, we usually hear from the coordinators on Thursday. So that would have been the 3rd day they've been with the players, but the 2nd day of practice for the week. And he might be like, because again, going into that Eagles game, like I said, the players projected confidence after that ass thrashing at the hands of Buffalo. and they had a really strong week of practice, and I thought they were going to come out and play the way that they did. I never got that sense going into the Bears game. It felt like there were lingering effects from that Eagles game, that they never truly got over that, and it looked like the performance that we ultimately got, right? So I watched Atlanta this weekend. It's what I've seen from them pretty much all season long. When they don't turn it over, when Desmond Ridder isn't making mistakes and he's finding receivers and getting the ball in the hands of playmakers like Bijan Robinson and Drake London and Kyle Pitts. And they just got back when they were over in London. They just got back the Commanders killer himself, Cordero Patterson. When he gets the ball in the hands of playmakers, like he did on Sunday, he threw for his first 300-yard game of his career. They're going to be tough to beat because they do the little things correctly, right? They don't beat themselves. They play sound defense. You know, they make their kicks. We're not doing that right now. We beat ourselves. We make stupid mistakes. We have dumb penalties, turnovers, we miss open receivers, blow coverage. Got guys running all. I mean, Ridder, we might make Desmond Ridder, the way we're playing defense right now. I got zero confidence in this defense, by the way. The way we play defense right now, we might make Desmond Ridder look like Caleb Williams. You know, I got zero confidence in our ability to stop anybody. Zero. So I'm not feeling good about the Atlanta game at all. They got to restore confidence in me. Right now, my confidence is pretty damn low. And I told you, I'm just here for Sam. It's NHL. I'm just here for Sam at this point. HTTR for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Braves win. At least one of my teams is doing good. It was looking real shaky there. Let me just tell you right now, I feel like this win is on me. Like, go ahead and credit me with this dub. I am the X factor. Here's why. Saturday, I went to a party. So I stopped watching the game right in the fourth inning. We had the bases loaded, fourth inning. And I stayed there. And first of all, our manager, Brian Snitker, I was not happy with Snit. I'm not going to call him all kinds of names. Snit's a guy that has won my trust over the years. But Snit, I thought he outsmarted himself in game one. Like, bro, why are you playing with the lineup? This was the greatest lineup in Major League Baseball history from an offensive standpoint ever. And you're going to worry about the Phillies' left-handed power arms in the bullpen, so you're going to tinker with it? Are you kidding me right now? If you don't make them adjust to us, I don't give a shit about no power arms in the bullpen. So you want to make sure that they don't have a bunch of matchups where it's just a bunch of left-handers in a row. F that. This is what we do. Stop it. Bring your little left-handers out here. So Michael Harris shouldn't have been in that 6 hole where he was at. That should have been Orlando Arcia, who I trust in those types of situations. And he got out of the inning, right? And I left after that. I didn't watch another second of the game, another pitch. And, of course, we lost. So tonight, you know, busy with the kids' life. You know how that shit goes. 6 o'clock start is not bad. It's just not conducive for me watching every single pitch. So I didn't get to the game until 5 2/3. Well, guess what? We got going on here. Zach Wheeler's pitching a no-hitter. So I show up and I say, all right, fellas, I'm here. This shit is over with. What do I show up to? Ronald just got a walk. Still haven't gotten a hit in the game. Ozzie gets a hit. Ronald goes from first to third. Trey Turner can't handle the throw into the infield, and Ronald scores. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here, fellas. Turn this shit up. And from that point on, we spotted those boys 4 runs. And when I showed up, the whole game changed. Scored 1 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th, and 2 in the 8th. And then shut the shit down in the 9th. Yeah, I'm here now. So I'll make sure that I'm there on Wednesday. Or I'll try to be. See, I got a live stream on Wednesday. So you might get it. And I already told Phillies fans, you got your ace. You got one of your other aces, Aaron Nola. You better win game 3, because if you don't, it's curtains. Because you already know we got Spence in game 4 and we got Max. And Max, he already told me tonight, he said, I was rusty. I had 18 days off, had the blister. I'm good, bro. I'll get another shot at it. If they need me for game 5, I'll be ready. But Spence, I got confidence. He'll bounce back in game 4. We just need one in Philly. You better win game 3. I'm going to see how y'all respond. That shit hurt tonight. That shit hurt tonight. HTTR for life. We heard him tonight, baby. We heard him tonight. That was some championship level ball right there. Phillies don't know nothing about that. That shit hurt. They thought they was going home 2-0. Pump your brakes and drive slow, homie. Drive slow. The champs are here. The champs are here. Hell's wrong with them. Mike Jake, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, we had y'all ass Wednesday, Lou. I'm steaming. Steaming like Willie Beeman. That one hurt. Spotted your boys 4 runs. I showed up, and it was never the same. The game was never the same. I was what the game was missing. So I took full credit for that. That was fun. That's what postseason ball is all about. Now I expect my guys to go. And again, I wouldn't be shocked. This is your most favorable matchup of the series. Game 3. You got Aaron Nola on the mound. We're probably going to have to trot out Bryce Elder. This was supposed to be old Uncle Charlie, but he's dealing with an injury, and we won't have him until probably next series at best. So this is your shot. Go up 2-1, put the pressure on us, and make Spencer Strider come out and pitch the game of his life. But if you don't win in game 3, got your ass, Mr. Postman, because you ain't beating Strider and Max Fried again. You're not getting to both of them. You might get to one of them. You ain't getting to both of them. And my offense about to wake up too, just so you know. We've been sleepwalking. The bats woke up. It didn't take long. I showed up and the bats woke up. So, yeah, just shot. Mike Jake, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, rank Nick Bosa, Watt, Garrett, Micah in order. I think I would take Watt 1, Bosa 2, Garrett. I think I would take Watt 1, Bosa 2, Micah 3, Garrett 4, and that's tough because Garrett is a game record too in his own right. I mean, all of them are so good. You're asking me to pick from the elite best of the best in the NFL right now, but Watt is just so impactful, and the numbers back that up. When he doesn't play, the Steelers, it's damn near impossible for them to win when he doesn't play, when he's not alive. When he plays, doesn't matter how trash they are on offense, you know, he single-handedly changes games. Did you watch that Ravens game? We're going to talk about that tomorrow, man. Bosa's so good. He's so good. But, man, give me Watt, man. Give me TJ Watt. He just impacts the game so many different ways. Watt, Bosa, Micah, and then Garrett. Because Garrett can move around, and he's a handful. But Micah, because of his versatility, I would put him ahead of Garrett because you can move Micah around a little bit more than you can move Garrett around, right? That's how I would rank those boys. Video channel, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Lou, will we ever use AG as he should? That go route he had was beautiful. Also, Forbes and Martin starting is nasty work. It could be really nasty. I mean, you're assuming that, first of all, Percival Butler is starting, not Quan Martin. And Ron said that without saying it, pretty much. Like, they asked him, does this mean Quan Martin's going to begin? He's like, well, we still got Percy Butler. Like, he's like, hey, hold on now. Until we put his ass in the game yet. Not quite yet. But I think he will see a little bit more. Well, shit, he hasn't really seen any defensive snaps, so he may actually start to see the field defensively. Is what Ron may be alluding to. But right now it's Percival Butler's show. So when they go to those 3 safety looks, maybe Quan Martin gets on the field. Maybe. But that may prompt them to just kind of stay in a nickel look where it's 3 defensive backs, 2 safeties, 2 backers, and 4 defensive linemen. They just may stay in that look a little bit more, being that they don't trust Quan Martin quite yet. We'll see. We'll see what kind of changes that facilitates on the back end with all of these injuries all of a sudden. And AG, as you mentioned, we've been waiting on that. Like, that's there every week. Because when you split out backs, generally you get one-on-one matchups with linebackers. I don't understand why that's not a matchup that we're seeking out on a weekly basis. You know what I'm saying? Like, he used to be a wide receiver. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we're not exploiting that particular matchup a lot more. Jado, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy Jado writes, I want to win, but I also want Ron fired. I don't think it's going to matter. I think you can have the best of both worlds. I was in quite the quandary early in the season, or before the season started, because I was willing to sacrifice Ron not being here for just an opportunity to win 11 games and make the playoffs, win a playoff game, etc., etc. Now I'm not willing to do that. And while I'm not willing to sacrifice, I don't think I have to now. I think they've seen enough that no matter what happens, again, barring Ron and company getting super hot, winning 9 in a row at some point and going 11 and 6 after starting the season off 2-6 and being on his deathbed, we rip off 9 straight, secure the 5th wild card, right? The first wild card in the NFC, the second one, 6th seed, whatever. And then you go on the road against, say, it'd have to be the winner of the NFC North. So Detroit, you go on the road to Detroit and you win. Your best bet is to, end up playing Tampa as the 5 seed. Like last year, when Tampa was the, 4 seed, you had to be fighting like, hey, man, this 5 is real comfortable. That's why Dallas is like, yeah, I think I'm good right here in the 5 hole. Because I really don't want to play San Francisco or, Philadelphia. Like Minnesota was cool, but the Bucs were trash last year in the worst division in football. Yeah, this is nice and comfortable. I think that's going to be the key again is whoever can get to that 5 seed. I mean, the Bucs aren't going to be as ass as they were last year, assuming that they win. Again, don't count out the Saints. I still think the Saints are the best team in that division, personally. But we'll see how everything, kind of shakes out. The Bucs didn't play this week. They were on a bye. So they're up a half game on everybody else in that division at 3-1, while everybody else is 3-2. But we'll see. We'll see what the rest of that division has to say about it. But barring some kind of miracle finish to the season where they end up playing in the divisional round or even worse, the NFC Championship game, he's getting fired. We can win 10 games, make the playoffs, and I still think they're going to move on from his ass. So, we'll see. He's got 12 games to make a case for himself. I think that they've already, in their minds, come back with a guilty verdict. It's his job to create reasonable doubt at this point. I think they think he's guilty and he needs to be fired. John Perez, my guy. JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, JP, it's finally wedding week. Are you nervous? Congrats, man. I'm excited for you. Are you nervous? You should be, just a little bit. But if you know you're making the right decision, come that wedding day, it'll be more anxiety to get it over with because it's such a stressful day. But you'll know, like, there will be a level of peace and serenity that comes over you because you know I'm making the right decision. This is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. So, and congratulations to you and your bride to be, man. I hope it's a beautiful event. And yeah, man, I can't wait to hear about how it went for you, man. Says pretty damn excited, as you should be. Gross game tonight. I actually liked it. I thought this was a solid game, JP. Plus, I tweeted at you that's not catcher interference in game one. It wasn't, but it wasn't gonna. We didn't bring the offense that day. It wasn't going to change anything. You know, we didn't put up a fight that night. It's almost like my buddy was at the game and we were texting each other, and he's like, they just tight, man. And he's like, and I brought up the lineup change to him, and he's like, I don't know what the hell Snick was doing. And then, you know, on the telecast, they talked about the lineup change because us Braves fans are like, bro, what are you doing? You know, we looking at the lineup and we're like, what is he doing all the way in the 2-hole? What is this guy doing in the 6-hole? Like, why are you playing? Why are you tinkering with what was working? Like, what is Michael Harris not doing at 9, right? Like he was tonight. That's where he belongs. Why is he at the 6-hole? What are we doing right now? Talk to me. Make it make sense, okay? And then he goes back to the original, you know, death lineup, if you will. And yeah, it took us a while. And Zach Wheeler he was dealing, right? Then I showed up, and it was 5 runs in 3 innings. Hell, 5 runs in 2 1/3 innings. Because Ronald got a 2-out walk. When I showed up, he was just taking first base. So it's on and popping now. I think we done took the tops off the bats. They up now. They was asleep. They up. We'll see what the Phillies do when they go back home. Maybe they silence them again. We'll see. He says, and Notre Dame lost too, which had to be discussed. I'm not really tripping about Notre Dame. They had their opportunity. Once they lost to Ohio State, I buried them. The Duke win was cute. It was nice little drive for Hartman, but Sam Hartman is who I thought he was. Now, you know, I think if we had more talent around him, because I offensively, we've had better rosters, right? Talent-wise. Defensively, I think this is actually a good football team defensively. I do. But, you know, Sam Hartman can't be throwing 3 and 4 picks and fumbling 2 and 3 times and expecting to beat anybody, let alone another rank. And this is the thing. I'm like, God damn, Marcus Freeman. When are we going to have a bye week, bro? Normally, what big-time programs do is when they play a tough opponent ranked on the road, home, it doesn't matter. I got to have the next week off. Either that or I need to be playing South Louisiana State. One or the other. Every week is another big-time ranked opponent. It went from Ohio State to Duke to Louisville to now we playing USC. There's no break. We played Ohio State. They didn't play the next week. That's how you do it. Like, damn, bro. You trying to make us lose. You riding this bitch till the wheels fall off. That's poor scheduling. Ain't no way you supposed to play all of those ranked opponents in a row. Crazy talk. So I had already given up on them before the Louisville game. Didn't watch a second of it because, like I said, I went to a party. Wasn't shocked that we lost. I was a little shocked that Hartman played as bad, but I knew he had that in him. So wasn't really tripping about that. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, that Josina Anderson tweet, we can all see the smoke now. The fire should be rising here soon. Again, that Josina Anderson tweet didn't move me, didn't move the needle for me. I thought it was a lot of information that we could deduce on our own. Half of that tweet, I was talking about that the night of the game, directly after it, and even into Friday the next day when we were live, right? And the phone lines were open. So the only thing that I really gathered from that tweet One was two things rather. One, is he really, inquiring information from other owners about what an in-season change looks like? Is it worth it? That's one thing. And ultimately, I don't necessarily 100% trust Josina Anderson. Remember, this is the same reporter that told us Washington was interested in Kareem Hunt. And I told y'all, no, we're not. No, we're not. So I don't want to go too far with this thing, but that's interesting right there. And the other thing that's really interesting, and she brought up ticket sales. And if you're a new owner and you're trying to, bring the fans back, you've done everything you can to kind of mend that fence and build that bridge back up with the fan base and welcome them back home. Losing is the easiest way to get them to cross back over the bridge and say, hey, I'll see y'all next time, or I'll see y'all when y'all get a new stadium, or XYZ, right? So you don't want, because you beg the fans to come back, and you've had sold out games all 3 weeks to this point that you've been at home. Cardinals week 1 sellout, Bills week number 3 sellout, Bears week 5 sellout. And you've looked awful in all 3 of those games and lost 2 of them in blowout fashion. So he's worried about the bottom line at this point. Like, hey, I've done everything. I've lowered concession prices. I've made the fan experience better. I've made improvements, and I'm still making improvements to FedEx Field. If we're going to call this place home for the next 5 to 7 years while we get us a new stadium, I'm going to make sure that it's hospitable for you. And the product all that shit is cool, but if the product on the field ain't good, all of that shit don't even matter. So he's thinking like big picture, like, yo, hey, y'all better do something about this. That was interesting. That was probably the most interesting thing she had in that whole entire tweet. All the rest of it, I just felt like was duh, right? Jado, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jado writes, my friend is a Falcons fan. I'm scared to lose because he will talk so much trash. LOL. You might get this work. I mean, we got him last year, right? We due for an L. I mean, we've been getting the Falcons. This goes all the way back to the Matt Ryan year where they let us off the hook with the J.D. McKissick surfing into the end zone with Taylor Heinicke throwing back across the field. We done got him 2 years in a row with some crazy shit. The interception on Mariota when they had us dead to rights. We due for an L, and it's happening this year. It's happening. I'm not picking Washington this week. I can tell you that right now. It will take me. These players will have to sell me and sell me hard. It can't just be the same. Like, it's got to sound different to my ears, and I can't even tell you what different sounds like. I just know when I hear it. Like I heard it in week 3. After week 3, rather, going into week 4, and I was like confident. And we should have won that game. It'll have to sound like that to me from everybody to a man. But even then, I don't know. I just got a bad feeling about it because Ron showed me that this is the same movie, bro. We watched it in 2020. We watched it in 21. We watched it. Like, it's the same sequel over and over again. We already know how this shit ends. We know how every part of this movie goes, This is the part where you lose 4 or 5 games in a row. We've seen this shit already. Before they finally, and then we pronounce the season dead at 2-5 after losing to the Giants, and that's rock bottom. Giants are going to get run on Sunday night by the Buffalo Bills, and then Daniel Jones is going to play, and he may not play on Sunday night, but he'll play against us the following week. If he plays on Sunday night, they said that he's vowing to play. And he makes it out of that game. He'll limp to the game against Washington, and we'll go to the Meadowlands, and we'll somehow lose that game. And then fans will be irate. They'll want blood. Ron's head on a stick. Pitchforks and torches will be out because we talk so much trash about the Giants, and they've been talking so much trash to us about they can't wait to see us week 7, and then they're gonna beat us. And then now the season's definitely over at 2-5, right? And that's when we start pronouncing the season dead. We want Ron fired. We want change. And that's when the Eagles come to Washington. We're expecting to get our doors blown off at that point. And then we beat them. right? And then you're like, yeah, man, that's a crazy win. But we still asked for real. And then the next week, I don't know who the hell you got. I don't know if it's New England or Seattle, whatever. And then now all of a sudden we decide to win 3 out of our next, 4 games or whatever, right? And you look up and we're 6-6. Here we go with that bullshit again, right? Right around that 500 mark. And then the wheels fall off when you got the Dolphins, the 49ers, Dallas, and all that. Then the wheels fall off of the shit completely, like it always does. Right when you scratch and claw your way back, then the wheels fall off completely. And that's that. So we've seen this shit already, man. So I feel bad for you because your friend is about to have bragging rights, bro. I genuinely feel that in my spirit right now. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy JP writes, I got a question about the 2024 QB draft class. Oh, shit. Here we go. Draft questions. In October, obviously, we're not taking one due to Howell's emergence, but which quarterback not named Caleb do you like the most? It's hard to say. I've watched a lot of them this year. This is a big game coming up Saturday night, Washington versus Oregon. I can't stand Oregon's quarterback. Somebody's going to probably take him a lot higher than I would. Right now, I'd put a day 2 grade on him, right? And I'm closer to the 3rd round on him. But we'll see. This is going to be a big one. I don't remember if this game is in Oregon or if it's in Washington. But, Michael Penix Jr. will be in that game as well. I'm sort of lukewarm on him. I love his deep ball, but he's kind of hit or miss for me, right? I like Drake May a lot, but boy, does he turn the ball over. You get like 2 or 3 dimes in a game, but you also get 2 interceptions almost every game. Like, let me look at Drake May's statistics this year. Just feels like every time I look up, yeah, he threw 2 touchdowns, but he also threw 2 picks, And and this is the thing. When I see that, it's hard to analyze that because you don't know. It could be right off a perfectly thrown ball off the fingertips of a receiver into the hands of a defender. You don't know how those picks happen. So I don't want to, go overboard with Drake May and, what he is or isn't doing. So he's got 4 interceptions on the season. He had, let's see how these games have gone. I feel like he had 2 interception games. Let's see. Game logs. So this year, his first game, and that's the one I watched against South Carolina, it was not a clean performance at all. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and one of them touchdowns, he threw that bitch up into a sea of hands, and his tight end happened to come down. It was like a YOLO ball on some Heineke shit. Then they mollywopped Minnesota, but he threw 2 interceptions in that game. I remember I think that was the weekend we were in South Beach, and we were watching the game. I was I was sort of lit. So I just remember seeing him throw a pick or 2, and I'm like, and he hasn't thrown a pick since. 1 touchdown, no interceptions the next week. And then they had a bye week, came off the bye, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions in a rout of Syracuse. So I like Drake May from what I've seen. I haven't watched him enough, right? And I think that's the overarching theme for me is I haven't watched these quarterbacks enough, but I think Drake May is the 2nd best quarterback in college football. I don't think that's changed, and I don't think it will change. I think ultimately he will lock down that 2nd spot. You got a bunch of guys jockeying for number 3, though. Bo Nix won't go away. Michael Penix Jr. is in the mix. I don't know what they see in this Riley Leonard kid out of Duke. I just don't see it. Like, help me. What am I missing? Help me. Right? I don't see it. So, it's a bunch of names of quarterbacks. And we'll see, and it's usually one guy off the pace nobody's talking about that emerges out of nowhere. I don't know what the Michigan kid McCarthy, what year he's in, but he's having a hell of a year. He'll be in the Heisman Trophy conversation if he keeps it up and Michigan keeps winning. So, we'll see. We'll see. Shador would have been interesting, but he's not coming out. His dad has already said he's not playing second fiddle to Caleb Williams, so he'll be back. JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, expanding on my last comment, I like Drake May. I do too. I think he's number 2, and I think he's going to remain number 2. And I think when it's all said and done, it'll be 1, 2, and then there will be a considerable distance between 2 and 3, right? I think that's what ultimately happens. Like, it'll turn into a Mariota, Winston type of conversation at the top, or it'll turn into what was it? Was it Lawrence and Wilson? Like, I think those two were in the same draft class that year, and people were trying to, and I know I was guilty of, like, hey, I wasn't going to take Wilson over Lawrence, but I was telling people I like him. I like his upside better than Lawrence, but I thought it would be unwise to pass on, Trevor Lawrence. Similar to this year's draft, I think this is a good example. Obviously, Caleb Williams, I think he's taking on like an Andrew Luck type of distance with Robert Griffin III. And there'll be some people that I like Drake May, more, because that's what we did with Robert Griffin III. That's what we did with Peyton Manning and Andrew or Ryan Leaf. But those who know, like, bro, let's not overthink this, but I think May is going to ultimately be what Robert Griffin III was for Andrew Luck, what Zach Wilson was to Trevor Lawrence. You weren't going to take him, or in my personal opinion, right? You weren't going to take any of those guys over the number 1 guy. But I think May is going to be that clear-cut number 2, and then you get to whoever else you like in that draft. Jordan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jordan writes, Bad Dog is hilarious. I can't stop laughing at his post-game reviews. The Super Friends channel was a great idea. Bad Dog is hilarious. And I don't like laughing at another man's plight, but his has been particularly fun to watch. Not because I wish bad on the Giants, although I don't like the Giants. They're a family member, but I don't hate the Giants. I hate their ownership. So anything that happens to them, I feel like is warranted in a negative manner. It's karma, it's juju, it's what they deserve. But they have a very sterile fan base, and because they've been garbage, much like us, they've been quite nice to me over the years. I've taken a strong liking to Giants fans. I riled a lot of them up, this year and poked a little fun at them because I had to make them adversarial. I really had to, because I want to bust their shit twice this year. No matter what happens, I want to beat the Giants twice. They're due for it. Sick of this whole Daniel Jones conversation, even though I don't think he's going to be the starting quarterback in New York much longer. I think he's on borrowed time. So this whole rivalry with Daniel Jones, I don't think we even need to continue to pursue it at such a high level, because in 2 years from now, they'll be moving on from Daniel Jones. Don't think they can get out of the contract just yet, but they land in a favorable spot from a draft perspective. He could be gone as soon as this upcoming year. They may not be able to get rid of him, but he might not be playing, right? But in saying that, I still want to beat his ass. Period. So, Bad Dog has been hilarious. I agree. Mike Jank, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Mike Jank writes, did you see how Miami lost to Georgia Tech, bro? Godly, shaking my head. I didn't see it. I heard about it. I have to go and check it out because so many people were talking about it. Apparently, Miami had a chance to take a knee and end the game. They did something stupid. They didn't do it. Georgia Tech throws a bomb and wins. I think that's how it went. But I got to go check it out because so many people were talking about it. And I saw a lot of it on my timeline. But again, I was out at a party. So I was trying to stay off my phone, right? I wasn't trying to be like disengaged from the party. I wanted to be an active member of the party. So I tried to stay off my phone. So yeah, I didn't really. And then when I got home, you know, I was chopping it up with my wife and really wasn't, you know, and the USC game was on, and that was crazy with Arizona. You know, it went to 3 overtimes, and Arizona had every opportunity to win that game. And so I never got around to watching it. So I have to go check it out, though, because I've been hearing a lot about it. Kevin, it's been a long time, Kevin. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Kevin writes, I hated this game, but I know you were so young. Go Pack Go. Hashtag Go Pack Go. I enjoyed that game thoroughly because I needed the Raiders to win, to give me what I thought was a respectable week. Because for some people, this could turn out to be a 6, 7, 8 loss week. There's going to be a couple people that probably got away with 4. I can't see many people getting away with 3. Because first of all, you should have picked Washington. So that's 1. You should have picked Buffalo. That's, again, if you're not making these selections, I don't trust you to be able to withstand, to maintain the level of picks. Because that means you're picking bullshit. And you just got away with it. Now, Jacksonville, not necessarily bullshit. You picked the Bears. Respect on one hand. But on the other hand, I'm looking at you out the side of my eye like, yeah, this shit going to catch up with you, right? So you should have lost 2 games right there, right off the rip. Did you lose Indy, Tennessee? Maybe, probably, right? Did you lose Jets, Broncos? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Do you trust Zach Wilson on the road? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Did you fall into the Arizona trap like I did? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Did you fall for the Dallas banana in the tailpipe? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, right? Let's see. I think there were 1 or 2 more in there. New England, New Orleans, maybe you fell into that trap a little bit. Houston, Atlanta, I think a lot of y'all fell for the Houston banana in the tailpipe, right? We'll get to all of that tomorrow. I'll just say this. I needed, and I know a lot of you picked Green Bay tonight because the Raiders stink. And I needed that one bad. Just for the sake of, if you were beating me in the pool, you probably picked Green Bay. I needed this one. I had to have it. So I appreciate y'all passing this one up. I needed it bad. DCN1, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes 16th for 47th Martin and Mathis. We got 3 top 50 picks contributing nothing positive to the defense. And drop off from Holcomb to Barton is rough. I never wanted a part of this whole Holcomb-Barton swap out. I made it abundantly clear. And I said, I'm going to give it a chance. He's here. I'm not going to sit here and kill the man. He hasn't been good, right? I don't know if Holcomb would have been a whole hell of a lot better because, like, I think some people build Cole Holcomb up into this folk-like hero, like this, you know, larger-than-life mythical linebacker that was making all these plays. He was Cole Holcomb. That's why they let him walk. But I'm like, you let him walk and you replaced him with Cody Barton. You might have downgraded. Like, what are we doing here, right? Now, I think some people have been a lot harder on Barton than need be. I think the reason Barton's an easy scapegoat because there's a lot wrong with this defense right now. And it's easy to just look at a position that isn't very good on this team and hasn't been and just point to him. But if the secondary wasn't giving up big plays, I don't think Cody Barton would be under siege as much as he's been. He, to me, is a microcosm of this defense as a whole. Solid, but not nearly good enough. And you're giving up plays, and so it's easy to spotlight. Right? Seattle let him leave for a reason. And I talked to Seahawks fans, and they was like, yeah, nah, we good. They didn't, and I keep reinforcing this. They didn't have any linebackers when they let this man walk. The cupboard was damn near completely bare. You know, they had the Brooks kid that they spent the first round pick on, Jordan Brooks, a couple of years ago. Bobby Wagner was not back yet. They had nothing at linebacker, and they told this man, pack your things, you can go. You can leave. So that told me all I needed to know. And Seahawks fans was like, good riddance. Don't come back. So, yeah. That's on them. That's on them. Kevin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Kevin, who writes, also, Lou, I've been watching since the 7th grade. During the live draft streams and you hating on Rashawn, I did. I killed the Rashawn Gary pick, and he's so good now, right? Killed that pick. I mean, I filleted it, flambéed it, you name it, rotisseried it, crushed it in so many different ways, man. And he's been so good. It was I had to offer up a double O to him early last season. I had to give that double O up to Rashawn Gary. I was big. That was a big miss on my part. And it happens quite often, especially when you're that definitive. I mean, I killed that pick. It's not that different than what I just did to the Packers' first round pick from this year, the Iowa kid. Super raw. Like, what are you doing? I've seen some of the athleticism now, you know, early in this season, but I'm still like, he's a project. What are we doing here? But that to me, that pick is a microcosm of where the Packers are as an organization. They ain't winning shit. So we can draft a young guy that is super raw, that he's still trying to figure out how to utilize all of the athletic gifts and tools he's been blessed with. It all makes sense because they're not winning shit now. So by the time he's actually good in 2-3 years, that's when they'll be trying to win something meaningful if Jordan Love is their guy. Anyway, he says, now I'm in my second year of college and still watch pretty often. You're great always. Hey, I appreciate you, Kevin. I just hadn't heard from you. We used to talk all the time, so it's just good seeing your thumbnails, seeing your name pop up. It's always good catching up, man. Anyway, I digress. Let's see. We got about 3 minutes left before we get out of here. Let me see if I can't cherry pick a couple comments before we get out of here. Storm. All right. I'm confused. The Raiders defense won a game. Has hell frozen over? Am I dreaming? No, you're not dreaming, but you did find a really good opponent to allow this to take place. Jordan Love was the perfect guy to allow this to happen. But the defense played really well, man. And Max Crosby is a problem, you know? Let's see. Rich writes, since you ain't responding to Discord, I got to bring it to you here. Go mother F Cards. They think we couldn't beat Hartman like we did last year. Jordan and Jamari Thrash on Sunday soon. Again, I didn't watch any of the games, so I can't even tell you what happened. I'm so disinterested with Notre Dame. Like, and that's the thing. I told y'all when, like, I'm a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan, but I'm not like a super fan. That's one of those things I can become disinterested very quickly, right? Like, college football is way down on the list of things. I enjoy college basketball more than I do college football. It's way down on my list of important things to do, right? If Notre Dame, and usually I'm pretty good at assessing Notre Dame's teams early on. I like to watch some of the early games in the season to see where we are, and I can kind of deduce very quickly what we'll be able to do. They let one slip against Ohio State. They had plenty of games against ranked opponents. They could have gotten back in, but that game against Duke was uninspiring. And even though they won it, I said, okay, I've seen enough. I know where this is heading. So I wasn't surprised that they went and had a letdown against Louisville on the road, but you can't turn it over 50 million times on the road and think you're going to beat somebody. So we got what we deserve. I told you one thing about football is generally you get what you deserve, you know? Rich says, speak for yourself, Lou. I went 11-3. You said it best this time where you got to bring out the skills. If you win 11-3, I want to see what your 3 losses are. And then that will determine how I respect what you did. 11-3 is a damn good week because this was shitty. This was a shitty week. And it's easy for shit to go off the rails in this particular week because there are a lot of evenly matched games that could have gone either way. If you went too far with the road teams, you got bit. If you went too heavy on the home teams, you took some L's there. And then again, Bills over in London, Commanders to start off the week. Those are probably 2 losses. The Ravens pissed away an opportunity. That should have been a loss for most people. Like, a lot of opportunities to lose games. So if you win 11-3, that's a hell of a week, my man. Straight up. I think 10-4 is, you're gonna see a lot of those. I didn't think you would see any 11-3s. So I love to see it. Storm. Damn, Lou. I know my Raiders suck, but can you at least let me enjoy the win before dogpiling on my team? I needed it, and I appreciate y'all, and I gave y'all some love. But your coach is a moron. Jimmy stinks. And Davante's going 1 out. What did I tell y'all about, and we're going to talk about this on the podcast tomorrow. What did I tell y'all about CeeDee Lamb after the game? Did I not say it's only a matter of time before CeeDee Lamb gets pissed off and starts demanding the football? Did I not just say that last night? Your man knows what he's talking about. Last week, or after the Raiders lost to the Steelers, and I've been saying it all offseason. I said Davante Adams will be looking for a trade at some point. And then you lose to the Steelers on Sunday night, and I played you the soundbite. He's not happy. I know they won tonight, and that'll cool things off for a week. And we'll see. Again, the schedule is very advantageous coming up. But if they lose, and if they end up losing this game with him having, 5-6 targets for, 40 whatever yards, it could have got really sticky quick, right? This buys you another week, of him being quiet and a humble soldier. But lose to New England next week. I don't care if he got 15 catches for 222 yards. Lose to New England next week. That might piss him off even more. Having 15 catches for 250 and still losing. That might piss him off even more. Because anytime him and Aaron went off like that in a game, they was winning. You ain't standing a damn chance if he was doing that kind of shit. So, anyway, I digress. All right, let me get out of here, man. Rocky D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rocky D writes, get a chance to catch the B-Rob video. I haven't. I saw that it was coming out later on, yesterday evening. As I was turning my TV off from the Monday night game, I saw it as one of the options on my TV. So I may go back and check it out. I think it's called like Survivor or something like that. I'm going to check it out. And I still haven't gotten to the Jeremy Reeves little thing they did on him. And I wanted to watch that too. So I got some viewing, and it may ultimately turn into some off-season viewing, for me. But I may check it out. If I got some time, I may, look at it and see what it's talking about. That boy Squire. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. That boy Squire writes, we should move Jabril Cox to the roster. He's nice. How do we know he's nice? I've seen more. Hey, man, we need to play Jabril Cox over the last 72 to 96 hours. I even had somebody screenshot Jabril Cox's like player bio to me, like, yo, we need to play this guy. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I get it. If we were, 1-4 right now, or 0-5, what the hell you got to lose? Your season's done. It ain't done in their minds. They're not going to just put guys out there. We got a dude that they've been building up all offseason, and he can't get on the field. And every time he plays well at the linebacker position. So, look, your guess is good as mine. I don't anticipate, unless there's some injuries to that position, I don't see Jabril Cox being pulled up off the practice squad. So that's just my guess. But JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy JP writes, last one. Did you hear Evan Neal's comments on fans booing last week when he called them hamburger flippers? Yeah, I saw that. I've always said this about players with interactions with fans. You're never going to win that battle, ever. Just let it go. That is not a battle you can ever win. Never, ever, 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 ever. Don't do it. And then you got a nerve to be playing ass at that. You got to be bullshitting me. Or as Dion likes to say, get out of here with that bull jump. Get out of here with that bull jump. Dude got so much backlash and he stinks. Yeah, and he deserved it. And he apologized shortly there. I don't know what the hell got into him. Again, frustration. And he said it in his apology. And just let that be a lesson to anybody out there. I don't care how bad it gets. Don't criticize the fans. It's a no-win situation. Just let that shit go, bro. Anyway, I digress. That is the last super chat. And we're going to go ahead and get out of here and let you guys get back to whatever it was you were doing. When I left, the game might be over. When I left, that Diamondbacks and Dodgers game was just starting to heat up because the Dodgers cannot afford to fall down 0-2 in that series, especially when the first two was at the crib. And the Dodgers have dropped to 0-2 in that series, just like the Orioles. A lot of these, favorites going into these series are struggling. I'm glad my Braves avoided, the same fate as the Orioles and the Dodgers. Now we just got to go on the road and take care of business. But those two teams are fighting for their life right now. One more and they're done. I got two to play with. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, we'll talk more about that and then some on the podcast tomorrow. Until then, you guys know what it is. DJ Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. DJ writes, where does Sam measure up to Jordan Love? He's better than him. And here's the biggest thing that I will say about Sam in comparison to Jordan Love. There are decisions. First of all, accuracy-wise, Sam's way better from just a completion percentage standpoint. Let me go look at Jordan Love's completion percentage. I felt this internally watching him. His completion percentage stinks. But again, keep in mind, much different cast of characters and supporting, members around him, supporting cast. Not like the one in Washington, even though I don't think they're necessarily utilizing that supporting cast very well in Washington. Still, doesn't matter. Sam Howell's completion percentage on the season right now is 68.6%. So damn near 70%, almost at 69% this season. In comparison, Jordan Love's completion percentage this season is, let's see, 55.6% for Jordan Love. So, ouch, by the way. That's some, rookie season deer in headlights type shit. But so one, Sam's way more accurate. That's to me. Two, Sam's more willing to use his legs than Jordan Love for whatever reason. Love's a great athlete. I don't know why he doesn't run more, but Sam's willing to run a little bit more. And three, even though they have the same amount of interceptions and Love has two more passing touchdowns than Sam Howell does on the season, it is apparent to me that the interceptions that Love is throwing, some of them are head scratchers. You go, bro, what's up with that? What were you doing there? What did you see there? I just don't get that feeling with Sam's interceptions. There's always, and maybe it's just me making excuses for him, right? But there always seems like there's a valid reason why that happened. Whether it's just youthful inexperience, like the pump fake, instead of him pump faking, he throws it right to AJ Epineza for a pick six. Like, come on, bro. Don't do that. That's dumb. Right? But it's not like he's staring down a receiver and throws it into double, triple coverage. The one interception he threw on that third down, the receiver's open, but they're inviting you to throw that because they want you to think you can get it over that linebacker that's getting depth. And the week before, and I told you, he got a little pop on the hand the week before when it got deflected. He needed that one to get picked off so that he wouldn't have done it again against Buffalo. He hasn't done that again since, right? So anyway, I said all that to say this. I just think Sam Howell is a better quarterback overall. Better accuracy, more willing to extend plays and use his athleticism to make things happen. I think he is, I think he's mentally got a better grasp and feel for the game than Jordan Love does at this point. And maybe that's just how it's going to be. And we'll see. But you see the completion percentage. I mean, it's not even close. One guy's in the mid-50s. The other guy's pushing 70. And one has probably way more attempts than the other does. Different offense, I will admit that, but the Packers' offense is very QB friendly. So I still don't know why the completion percentage is so low. But again, you got to look at the supporting cast and also take that into consideration too. Rocky D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Rocky D, who writes, I don't know if you follow ODU men basketball, but they just recruited their first 4-star basketball recruit. Might be a good season among us. I'm thinking about checking out a couple games this year. I went to a couple last year, thinking about doing the same this year. I want to see the program get back to where we fighting for a NCAA tournament spot. I think we were there like 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I'd like to get back there. 3-4 years ago, I'd like to get back in the tournament, man. I knew it was going to be tougher once we changed conferences. That made it a lot tougher. But that also gives you better quality of opponents. You win some games. You can get in on the strength of doing that. But we'll see. We'll see what it turns out to be. We'll see. But anyway, I digress. You guys get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Look forward to chopping it up with y'all tomorrow. Louie T Network podcast. If you're a part of the LTN exclusives or you just want to come kick it, the kickback session will be tomorrow night. And look forward to chopping it up with y'all. Until then, you guys have a good one. Take care. God bless. Good night.